There he is.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, great to see you again. You doing okay?
Yeah, doing all right. How about you?
Oh, doing wonderful. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you on with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking the time out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're excited because whenever we get to talk to you, it's always because you've got some great new music for us, and this is no exception. Except you're going double time here. We got a couple of good things from you, but let's talk about 13 because this is such a cool record, and for those of us that love some good rock and metal, this is perfect. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, and you got to be excited to unveil this to the world because we're kind of lacking in some good rock and roll records right about now, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Joel Hoekstra's 13 albums are basically my opportunity to do all the writing and oversee the mix and oversee the artwork. And in short, to kind of like be the boss for a minute. Like, it's very much, they're very much my baby. All the projects that I'm a part of, I have various levels of input, and this is definitely the one where I have the most, obviously, being my stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a fantastic singer, on this album too, and I mean it gets the featuring credit in each one. But I'm wondering, how you found him, where you found him, and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that was really Frontiers, the
Yeah.
label, bringing him up to me when we were talking about, what direction to go with everything for the future with this. And so his band, Girish and the Chronicles, his name is Girish Pradhan for those that aren't aware. And anyway, Girish and the Chronicles, he's very much kind of like early Skid Row or something. Like, amazing singing, but kind of like not exactly what's on my albums, or has been over the previous two.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was more or less like, well, he's amazing, but is it going to work? And so as I gave him the material, it was just really cool to hear him knocking every track out of the park, and really singing the songs as need be. I mean, traditionally, this stuff has been kind of like anywhere from Ronnie James Dio at its heaviest to kind of Lou Gramm or Paul Rogers kind of singing vibe, more like singing melodies, where the stuff that we're talking about with his band, is a lot of high screams and things like that. And so it was just going to be interesting to see if this worked. And it did. He's a real chameleon, he's able to do it all. So he's a great talent, and I'm really glad to have him on board.
I love it. Well, are we going to get to hear any of this stuff live? Will there be a tour for 13?
I mean, never say never. My answer to this is that, it would require a financial commitment on my part. I mean, I'd end up losing money to do something like that because we'd inevitably play smaller venues, and I wouldn't want to take out, people like Vinny Appice and Tony Franklin and things like that and say, hey, we're staying at the Super 8, So it would be trying to figure out where that fit, number one, in everyone's schedules, and number two, what kind of financial commitment I'd be willing to make to do so. But yeah, that's the reality of it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how cool is it to play with guys like Vinny and Tony that you grew up, listening to, and now they're your bandmates,
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, that's sort of been the story of the last, I guess,
That's true.
15 years of my life. It's been a lot of, once the 80s resurgence thing took off for me, kind of being a part of playing with a lot of people that I grew up admiring or that were my heroes. So, yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, that's been the story for quite a bit. That's a really long list of people that I've been able to kind of collaborate with or jam with. And so, yeah, it's all very cool for me.
Yeah. And then of course you've got another band as well that's come out that's really really cool, full of great guys, and you got to be excited about that one too, right?
Revolution Saints.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Revolution Saints is, again, that was really Dean Castronovo from Journey, having that project over, gosh, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years or so with Jack Blades, my former bandmate with Night Ranger, and Doug Aldrich, who obviously was in Whitesnake before me. So both those guys decided that their time was kind of up with that project and decided to depart. And I think Dean wanted to keep it going and Frontiers wanted to keep it going. So the concept was to add me and, well, I should say Jeff Pilson first, Jeff Pilson and myself to that lineup. And we were, you know, I was just kind of like, well, I mean, is this going to be okay? Is this going to be received well by fans? You know, I made sure everything was cool with Doug, that he was actually done and didn't want to do it anymore. And he was texted that, you know, he actually recommended to Frontiers that they get me to do it. So that made me feel better about accepting. Yeah. And I just kind of, you know, I guess did my best on the opening record here, this Eagle Flight, which came out April 21st. And, you know, the reception's been great from the fans. I mean, I think everybody, we're just viewing it as like a Mach 2. There are bands where they have like a lineup makeover and, you know, and they just call it like the second version of the band. But I think, you know, Frontiers making the decision to continue the brand, like they were going to keep it going whether or not I accepted. So at the end of the day, if you're a guitarist and you have the chance to work with Dean and Jeff, really talented guys, it seemed like a yes.
Yeah. And that's when who knows if we'll see live as well, because obviously Jeff is very busy with Foreigner and then Dean's busy with Journey. So that's kind of hard and you're busy with everything.
So, I mean, you know, my stuff is all workable for either one. That might be more realistic in terms of, for me, like getting out there and being like, hey, can I not be the boss and lose all kinds of money to do this? Dean has definitely talked about getting it out there. And right now, I'd say, I think he might be wrapped with Journey for the year. I'm not sure exactly what his plans are, but there's definitely been talk of it. And if I were to weigh which one is more realistic in terms of getting out there for a long tour, it would probably be that, you know, just on my end, because, you know, I think all my stuff is workable if there's some kind of full length tour from something, you know.
Yeah. Well, I always love watching you play live because you look like you're having the best time ever. And then of course, you know, people look up at that stage now and they go, that's what I want to do. And there are kids out there, there's new generations that are looking up to you. What kind of advice do you give to people that want to do what you do?
Just to kind of take the very practical approach of working really hard at it. You know, I preach work ethic all the time to people, just like make sure that you're productive on a daily basis and look around and say, am I working harder than everybody else at it? And good things tend to happen. So that's at the end of the day what it comes down to. So that obviously a lot of that is the musical end of things, like, you know, practice on your instrument, playing, trying to get out and, you know, gig with people, work with different people, be open-minded, do different things, see what takes off. And simultaneously, if you want to be an artist, you know, you have to work at writing and releasing your own material, which is what we're looking at here today with Crash of Life.
Ah, there it is. I love it. I love the artwork.
Yeah, there's the screenshot for the interview right there.
There you go.
So, yeah, anyway, I'd say, you know, all that for me is important. I don't want to be just like remembered as the guy who had some cool gigs. You know, I've had some amazing opportunities to get out and play in bands, and but it's nice to have your own music out as well. And in addition to these, Joel Hoekstra's 13, I mean, that's the third one. There was Dying to Live, Running Games, and now Crash of Life. You know, prior to that, I actually released 3 solo albums as well. So that were more instrumental, you know, and those, you know, were more, the first couple were more kind of like rock fusion. First one was even kind of funky in spots and, you know, kind of a quirky album that I called Undefined. And then The Moon is Falling was kind of very proggy, instrumental. And then 13 acoustic songs, which was not to be confused with Joel Hoekstra's 13. It was Joel Hoekstra was the artist, and then the 13 acoustic songs was the name of the record that was almost like kind of easy listening, I hate to say, you know, but it's like fingerstyle acoustic, you know. It's like something you listen to when you're drinking your coffee or going for like a long drive to like mellow out.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic stuff. I mean, and you can do anything, and you know, people love that. But you know, there's always got to be a good sort of origin story. And so our host, my co-host Drew Pearson, famously caught the Hail Mary, one of our great Dallas Cowboys, winning the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and he wanted me to make sure that I asked you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. So what do you suppose that was for you?
I mean, I would say that was just the moment of kind of um, probably my young 20s. That was where it really became like, I suppose, palpable that I was going for this, because that's the age where you start to watch all your friends graduate from college and like get their normal job and like start to get married and buy their condos and stuff like that. And I was kind of like this guy who was struggling at that time to make a decent amount of money. And so there's that window of time you have to go through, or I did at least, a pretty long window of time before things like worked out. And then it was like, then the perception totally shifts and people take you from the guy who's like, oh yeah, he's just, struggling musician to like, you go to the family parties and then suddenly, there's more acclaim there. So I'd say the Hail Mary moment was just kind of over that long haul of just kind of, I know you're looking for like one short moment, but there wasn't that. It was just
a lot.
But that time commitment was definitely that leap of faith where you're going, well, I'm just going to keep doing this anyway. I don't care. It's what I want to do. And then when things work out, it's kind of like, wow, I scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
Well, I know who Drew Pearson is, by the way. I'm a sports guy, so you don't have to explain Drew Pearson to me.
Yeah, of course.
I probably have his cards right in my room, man.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Well, he listens to a crazy amount of music, and I've heard him sing some Whitesnake before too.
Oh, cool! Right on.
Love it. Well, the thing is with you've got that right positive mindset that you have to have. So maybe it's a stubbornness. I don't know, but we talk about that and record. Is there something that you tell yourself that keeps you on the right path even when things are tough?
Just to kind of break it down to like the work thing, so if something is like, not ideal, you just kind of like think, instead of like focusing on that, just think about like what you can do every day to be productive and just kind of gradually keep going. And, I have this little thing from a fortune cookie taped on my laptop, which I'm doing this on, that says, if you work hard, good things will inevitably happen. So I'm constantly staring at that phrase, even subliminally as I do all my work on the laptop here. So it's just kind of really that, so even if things are down, you just go like, oh, well, it's all about that. It's just about that commitment and putting in the work and the time, and then things do tend to happen. So, you find that balance between doing the musical work and then making sure that you're out there with other people, obviously, that helps a lot. And not just, and of course, that's easier nowadays with the digital world. The digital world is like, it's shrunk the world really in terms of, you can be in a small town nowadays and still have access to everybody. With me growing up, before there was really this digital world, you were just kind of like, all right, well, I need to go to a big city to be able to have access to anybody with any kind of connections or anybody that's doing anything in the business. So, those times have changed. You can really be anywhere and kind of make it happen for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Of course, you always have so much going on. Of course, we've talked about those other things, but I'm curious what if we're going to see more from you with Whitesnake, with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, with Cher, or any of those.
Whitesnake, that's always up to David Coverdale, stating the obvious. So, whatever David's plans are, I'm still like, very much a part of the band. And, I think David's a great boss and he's a great friend. So, he's got my full support on whatever he wants to do. And I'd like to be a part of it. If that's recording, if that's just kind of like, playing live again, that's be amazing. But, it's all going to be up to David. And Trans-Siberian, as far as I know, plans are on for me to do the winter tour again this year. So people can plan on seeing me November, December out with them. And as far as Cher, something where that was kind of officially ended at the start of 2020, and then COVID kind of hit anyway. My schedule was such that I kind of started doing Cher when David was having his knees done. So there was a year off, and that, I knew it was going to be complicated. And then there was a year where he kind of stuck his toes back in the water, limited touring. And so it was kind of like I was able to be there. And then 2019 got really complicated because Whitesnake was doing a lot. TSO wanted Hoekstra and at the top of it, and Cher was out on the road, not just doing residencies. And so that was an extremely complicated year to coordinate. And so I think 2020 became officially, like, it looked like Whitesnake was going to be out a lot that year. So that was kind of like maybe we're better off having somebody who can actually be here kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
and fair enough, they were very patient with me. I appreciate that, and appreciate all the time playing with her for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then, of course, we're going to tell everybody to check out this album. So, last thing, but there's so many great songs on it. But what's the song that you're the most proud of, where you just heard the playback and go, "That's exactly what I wanted right there"?
Well, it's a really very diverse sounding record,
Yeah.
which I kind of dig. It's like, being able to have really heavy tracks like Far Too Deep or Everybody Knows Everything or Damaged Goods. All the way to like, mid-tempo melodic rockers, kind of like Crash of Life on there, to straight ahead kind of blues rockers like Don't Have Words, or ballads on there like Torn Into Lies or Through the Night, that hopefully have like a little bit of like a cool musical twist to them, that they're not just stereotypical 80s hairband power ballads. So I think that it's a varied record. There's something in there really for anybody. If you're just kind of like a classic rock fan, you're going to dig the record.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are really going to like it. And so that's why I wanted to make sure that we got you on to discuss it, because, like I said, we need more records like this. So thank you for making it and keeping us entertained with everything that you do, because you do a lot. And we'll look forward to seeing you out on the road and talking to you again sometime soon.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. See you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
Catch you soon. Bye-bye.